The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to BBB Bite by Bite. He is Michael Coleman, the CEO, the man down there, the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. They cover 35 counties. And of course, they work with food pantry, churches, all kinds of great places, institutions throughout the state of Alabama, including, of course, Feeding America. And if you've listened to the show, it's just fantastic. And he'll tell you at the end of our segment here how you can help out and give, because I know there's been some cuts there, including some SNAP cuts as well. I saw a story last night about some new fraud thing going on where it just makes me sick, because people that are on SNAP, which is also the same thing as like food stamps, people are running their cards, or I don't know how they're running their cards and they're taking money out of their accounts or whatever. And so that's a fraudulent thing, which makes me sick to my stomach. There's people, they count on those things. But I know you've had some recent cuts. Could you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah. So it is a concern, because I kind of want to paint a big picture. So we have just in our territory of 35 counties, we have 256,000 people who are considered food insecure. Now, the real challenge for us is literally half of those people are just above the SNAP line. So they don't get any benefits whatsoever. With SNAP people, at least, they're getting some government supplements that help them to help cover some of those costs. But each state determines the level of SNAP. So everybody gets federal dollars to administer their program. But in Alabama, if you're a senior and you barely qualify, you can get $23 a month. That's the minimum on SNAP. What's $23 going to do for you at a Publix? Or not much. But so what happens is, with the Farm Bill coming up, and they may tackle it this fall, but it's probably going to be a congressional priority next spring. And the Farm Bill covers all the agriculture, but along with that, all the USDA, and the food stamp or the SNAP program falls up under the USDA. So, and of course, everything has to do with food banking. And so the concern is with Trump wanting to cut fraud, waste, and abuse. And like I said, he's kind of taking a hatchet to everything up front. Mm-hmm. And then just kind of figuring out what that looks like. Well, he's already taken a hatchet to the USDA and is really cut into us, and it's really affected us. But he's going to be doing the same thing to SNAP. They have not done it yet, but they're talking about with the new Farm Bill. Now, there was several states have been victimized, part of the fraud. That's very true, what you're talking about. But going into the Farm Bill, I think they're wanting to cut some of that fraud and push people off what they consider to be dependency roles. Mm-hmm. And again, some people, there is some of that, and I think some people should be. But again, what's going to happen is you're going to cut, anytime you cut programs like that, it's going to affect some people. And so what happens is now, let's say they had enough, they didn't have to go to a food bank or stand in a food pantry line. Well, now you cut their SNAP in half, for instance. They got to make that up some way if they can't make it through other ways. So what's going to happen is now we are going to take on all of that in the food bank network. Now, as I explained before in previous shows, with administrative requirement out there now for hospitals and healthcare clinics, when you take on new patients, you have to get into the 5 social determinants of health. And the very first one is food insecurity, not having enough food and not having enough nutritious food. So right now, we're already get those referrals because there's nowhere else to refer them to get fresh, nutritious food at no cost. Now you've got that, so we're absorbing that burden. At the same time, there's going to be a greater burden of SNAP individuals that fall back into our network, and they've already cut us. So they're asking us to do more. Now, the thing is, I don't think a lot of politicians understand that whole connection. Yep. They look at farmers. Hey, we want to support farmers, and I'm 100% there. Let's support farmers. I personally see it as a national security issue. If I want us to be able to grow our own vegetables in a safe way so we can't be, they call it bioterrorism. We need our food supply chain safe. We need farmers to be able to grow enough food to feed everybody. All that, I'm all for that. Give the farmers whatever they need to do that. But I also want to live in a society that takes care of those who are not as fortunate or struggling with life. And I even wrote an article recently on LinkedIn. And, I talked about how SNAP and food insecurity really as a whole is kind of being used as a political football. And it's done by both sides.
Yeah.
And the problem is, there are legitimate people who due to no fault of their own, and I listed about 4 or 5 examples, health issues hit your family. So now you have to quit your job and take care of your spouse. Medicine prices go through the roof, and now you can't put food on the table, and it's just on and on and on, medical emergencies. And, we don't want people to come there with their head, to get food support with their head held down. We want them to hold their head up. And so we want to serve with dignity. We don't want them to have to come begging for food. We want to care for our neighbors, love our neighbors, support them. But we've got some strong political headwinds. And again, there's things that the Trump administration is doing that are good on paper. Cutting fraud, waste, and abuse, I'm all for that. Saving, making it more efficient. But I'm really concerned about if the USDA does not come back and restore some of these cuts, and if they cut into food stamps to too great of a degree, or even Alabama. I tell you what, next week we can talk about the work requirements that they're putting. They're passing legislation to put new work requirements, and talk about the pros and cons of that, because there's good and there's bad in that. But again, sometimes it's coming from one angle, and it really hurts people who otherwise really need support.
Now more than ever, you need people's help. How can they help you?
Yeah, go to hafb.org. Again, I always say this: help your local food bank. Get involved with your local food bank. Financially support your local food bank. But if you don't and you want to get on board with us, we always can use the financial support, especially with all the cuts that have taken place. We're really digging deep now to take care of about 256,000. So please go to hafb.org and make a donation, or see all the different ways you can get involved.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.